Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is Maj Mahalla Tija. Amrit Naam man Vasaae, how मैं मेरा सब दुख गवाए. Amrit Bani sada salahe, Amrit Amrit Pavaniya. How wari jiyo wari, Amrit Bani mane vasavanaya. Amrit Bani man vasaye, Amrit Naam ਧਿਆਵਣਿਆ ਰਹਾਓ. Amrit ਬੋਲੇ ਸਦਾ ਸਦਾ ਮੁਖ ਵੈਣੀ, Amrit ਵੇਖੈ ਪਰਖੈ ਸਦਾ ਨੈਣੀ. Amrit ਕਥਾ ਕਹੈ ਸਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ, ਅਵਰਾਏ ਆਖ ਸੁਣਾਵਣਿਆ. Amrit ਰੰਗ ਰਤਾ ਲਵ ਲਾਏ, Amrit ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਪਾਏ. Amrit ਰਸਨਾ ਬੋਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤੀ, ਮਨ ਤਨ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਪਿਆਵਣਿਆ. ਸੋ ਕਿਛ ਕਰੇ ਜੋ ਚਿਤ ਨਾ ਹੋਈ, ਤਿਸ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਮੇਟ ਨ ਸਕੈ ਕੋਈ. ਹੁਕਮੇ ਵਰਤੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਬਾਣੀ, ਹੁਕਮੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਪਿਆਵਣਿਆ. ਅਜਬ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਤੇ ਹਰ ਕੇਰੇ, ਇਹੋ ਮਨ ਭੂਲਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਫੇਰੇ. ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਬਾਣੀ ਸਿਓ ਚਿਤ ਲਾਏ, ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਜਾਵਣਿਆ. ਖੋਟੇ ਖਰੇ ਤੁਧ ਆਪ ਉਪਾਏ, ਤੁਧ ਆਪੇ ਪਰਖੈ ਲੋਕ ਸਵਾਏ. ਖਰੇ ਪਰਖ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਪਾਈਐ, ਖੋਟੇ ਭਰਮ ਭੁਲਾਵਣਿਆ. ਕਿਉ ਕਰ ਵੇਖਾਂ ਕਿਉ ਸਾਲਾਹੀ, ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸਲਾਹੀ. ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵਸੈ, ਤੂੰ ਭਾਣੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਪਿਆਵਣਿਆ. ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਹਰ ਬਾਣੀ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੇਵੀਐ ਹਿਰਦੈ ਸਮਾਣੀ. ਨਾਨਕ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਨਾਮ ਸਦਾ ਸੁਖ ਦਾਤਾ, ਪੀ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸਭ ਭੁਖ ਲਹਿ ਜਾਵਣੀਆਂ. In Rag Maj, composed by the third Nanak, Guru Amar Das. And he begins by saying, Amrit Naam mane Vasaae, how mein mera sab dukh gavaye. By awakening self-knowledge, the pain of haume is released. Then one is constantly guided by the vivifying speech or teachings of the enlightener. Amrit Bani sada salahe. Bani means speech, but it encompasses the notion of teaching. So it is the teachings of the enlightener, the Guru, that we must be constantly guided by. And in this way, by following the instruction, which is also Amrit of the enlightener, one finds the Amrit self. Amrit, Amrit Pavaniya. So we see here a play with the word Amrit, because it has been used in Gurbani with multiple connotations. It is used to signify Naam, self-knowledge. It has been used to signify Sabad, with all its qualifiers from speech, language, and to the Creator itself as the eternal being. It is also used to signify Kirtan. It is also used to denote the unsayable, a katha. But through all of this, Gurbani tells us that ultimately Amrit is one. Nanak Amrit ek hai, Duja Amrit nahi. And we'll see what that eventually means. So salutations and adorations are in order for those in whose mind self-knowledge has awakened. How wari jiyo wari, Amrit Bani man vasavanaya. The one, such a one who has embedded self-knowledge within the mind, man vasavanaya, to establish to that person or to that individual adorations, salutations are due. Because by inculcating Gurbani, they have fixed their minds on the self. Amrit Bani man Vasaae, Amrit Naam te avaniya. Amrit bole sada mukhaveni, Amrit vekhe parkhe sada naini, Amrit katha kahe sad din rati, avra aakh suravadiya. Now, such a one, the person in whose mind self-knowledge has awakened, such a one has cultured speech. Amrit bola, sada mukhavani, has a discriminating eye. Amrit vekhe parkhe sada naini, and then shares in the discourse of the enlightener that actually brought enlightenment to that individual. Amrit katha kahe sada din rati, avra aakh sunavanaya. So sharing. So self-knowledge, to be of any value, must transform the character of a person, and that is what is being indicated here. The Guru has listed some sure signs, chief among them being, he's saying, being possessed of cultured and sweet speech. And speech indeed is considered to be a sublime quality of the self. Amit bolada ji har sajjan swami mora. And along with speech, the faculty of discrimination, parakh, parkha, the capacity to distinguish the right course from the wrong at any given moment, because you're being guided by the principles of Gurmat. And ultimately, anything of value has to be shared, or else it's pointless. And such a one finds through Gur wisdom the self and fixes the mind on the self. Just talking a little bit about the process. He's extending the second section to say that not only does such an individual have a cultured speech and a sense of discernment, but the understanding, the intellect of such a one is always guided by self-knowledge. Amrit rasna bole din rati. Rasna means the tongue, but is a signifier for the intellect, for our understanding. So what is being said here is that Amrit rasna bole din rati. To say din rati indicates a lifestyle that is now guided by self-knowledge. And so in such a way, the body and the mind is revitalized. Mantan Amrit Piyavanya. So Gurmat is the tool to know oneself. And we know that know thyself is an old saying that basically is telling us that self-awareness, self-knowledge are foundational requirements for any kind of growth. And that this growth is ongoing, perpetual. Amrit rasna bole din rati, and Nanak bhakta sada vigas. So this is not a one-time thing, but this is an ongoing process. It never ends. And then now he turns to the order of existence that we live in, the system that we live in. And he begins by saying, So kich kare jo chit na hoi. That one, the eternal self, the creator, it does what cannot be conceived by us. So chit na hoi. We cannot even think about it. We cannot even conceive of it. Tisda hukam met na sake koi. So what has been established by that one cannot be reversed, cannot be revoked, cannot be cancelled by anyone except the one who put it in place in the shape of this existence. And then Hukme varte amrit bani. in that order, in that organization, is the elixir of self-knowledge. And within that system, one drinks of that wisdom. So what is being said here is that there is a tide of inconceivable consciousness. There is a consciousness at work that organizes the cosmos, which is beyond anyone's power to turn back, because it takes its own course. And that the knowledge of the self is woven into the fabric of this universe. And you have to remember that we, individuals, beings, creatures, we have sprung from the universe. Right? So therefore, by that reckoning, that self-knowledge which is woven into the fabric of the universe must be knitted into our own being. It has to be our own essence. And that is the realization that we must ultimately arrive at. So, ajab kam karte har kere. So astonishing are the works of the Creator that man pula janda phere. We get distracted. We get mesmerized by the world of phenomena, and we then just lose our way, so to speak. And that is what it means by pule janda phere. Phere is to go around in circles. And that is what we are doing. We are just simply repeating our behavior patterns over and over again. So the Guru is saying, concentrate on self-knowledge as taught by Guru wisdom, and then make manifest the eternal self. Amrit Bani Syo Chit Lae, Amrit Sabad Vajavanya. Vajavanya is to manifest, to extend, to sound. So when you sound something, you make its presence felt. So to make the eternal manifest means to develop the capacity to see the source behind the world of phenomena, to be able to grasp the potential that underlies everything. And as an example, a lot of us see birds flying, but in some, it was not just a bird flying. It was a pattern of behavior that inspired in the Wright brothers, for example, the potential of flight. The point being that we don't see what is beyond the obvious. We don't see past the world of phenomena, because it is behind the world of phenomena that potential lies, that we must grab if we are to transcend our limitations and grow. And within this system, we are constantly being evaluated. And we are actually doing the evaluation through our acts, through our motives, through our intentions. Khote khare tud aap upaye. So that is how the system is established. There are the faithless, there are the upright, but they are all, the Guru says, they are all your creation. Tud upaye. Tud appe parkhe log savai. So there is a process of evaluation that moves along with us at every step. Khare parkh khajane paiye, khote param pulavneya. So what happens is that the genuine are cast in your treasury, while the perfidious keep wandering on in error. So what does it mean to be cast in your treasury? What that implies is you are then cast in self-knowledge, because the treasury, the wealth, is really self-knowledge, self-realization, to become like the self. So you are cast in the mold of the self. That is the treasury. So here we are speaking about and making a distinction of intent, of motive. The question is, Are we motivated by a genuine desire to find the self, or are we following the dictates of our own ego? That's the difference. And that's what's being called out here. And then Guru Amar Das speaks for us when he says, Kyo kar vekha, kyo salahi? How can I have the vision? How should I worship? Salaha comes from salat, which means to offer prayers. And the answer is, through by the instruction of the insight of the Guru wisdom, Guru Prasadi Sabad Salahi, I receive the nectar of self-knowledge and walk in your will. Then I'm attuned to the organization of this hukam, this large, infinite system of cause and effect. And I'll recognize and learn how to walk in harmony with it. So to worship, salaha, is to be guided by reverence and devotion to the Creator. And while it may include ritual and practice, because that is what the word literally means, in essence, worship is a total lifestyle. So the third Nanak is really asking, what demeanor should I adopt that I may have the vision to guide my life? What principles and values should determine my actions? And the answer is pretty obvious. Amrit, that I seek, lies in attuning my actions to hukam, which implies an intuitive awareness of hukam so that it can guide us at every step. Ultimately, Nanak Amrit Naam Sada Sukh Data Pi Amrit Sab Pokh Leh Javanya, says Nanak, self-knowledge is the nectar that gives lasting bliss and removes my hunger. So the assumption being made here, which is the Gurmat model, is that we are driven by cravings, hungers, and addictions, desire, which can degenerate into cravings and addictions because we are willy-nilly looking for ourself, but we get sidetracked. So the nectar of self-knowledge itself is the self, which comes to dwell within by following the true enlightener, the Satgur, whose instruction is also Amrit. So you see how the word Amrit has very beautifully been kind of played here. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.